Hi, welcome back. So as you can see, the cases I've finished painting, and despite the fact it's a Hammerite special, I'm pretty impressed with the results that that's given me. I think you'd agree the cases look significantly better than when I started, and the reason for the little delay is we've still got to get the bearing holder into this set of cases and drop the main bearing in, so I'm just going to talk you through that now. As you can see, the older style cases, i.e. the early two-phase cases, have a more shallow bearing holder, so this would not have sat in correctly against this lip at the back here, which would have created issues. So I had to get the right one. So what I'm going to do now is stick them in. Okay, that's the last bearing now put in. Just get rid of that lock-in compound that sits in there. Nicely in, pushed all the way in. So what I've got to do now is I'm just going to get the crank with some relatively small shims in. We'll stick the crank in, both the gearbox shafts, the selector shaft, selector drum and its selector shafts. And we'll get a rough reading. I'll show you how we're going to do that process now. Okay, tools that we're going to need today just to do this crankcase shimming. So I've got an alternator removal tool just here. This is just to act as a source for the magnetic base to sit on because the cases are aluminium. Torque wrench so that we can torque the cases together. Ratchets so it's just quicker and easier to do. And then a 5 and a 6 and a 10 just for the various different bolts. The bolt here is just to hold on the alternator tool. I've got a magnetic base for the DTI, which is in millimeters, just the arm that goes on the magnetic base. Then micrometer, again in millimeters, just for measuring shims, and the plastic persuader just so that I can get the cases back apart. Okay, so we now need to get these cases shimmed. So what I've got here is the right hand case ready to drop everything in, and all of our components that are needed to put the cases back together, and the shims. So we've got our gearbox cluster, selector drum, selector forks, and the selector rods. And what you'll see here is the shims that were originally in the last set of cases. There's end float required on all of these components, so you tend to find actually there's fewer shims to actually select from. On the side of the crankshaft though, we've got two smaller shims to put in at the moment, so they're 1.9s because I don't know where these bearings that we fitted in fit at the moment. And on the old two-phase casings you had much thinner shims, 0.3 to 0.5. So what we've got to do is find a date and position. So by taking these smallest shims that I've got for the later cases, hopefully we'll have a bit of play. We'll be able to work out our position and change these at a later date for some slightly bigger ones that give us the correct preload. So what we're looking for is a free float with this sat in there at the moment, and then from that we'll work out what our new shims are going to be for the crank, and we need those to be preloading the bearings, i.e. these bearings here, by 0.15 millimeters. So we preload these bearings, but we have free float on the other bearings, and obviously the selector drum as well that sits in there. Right, so let's get these cases put together and then we'll take some measurements. Okay, that there is the cases back together. So all I'm going to do now is configure our dial gauge and magnetic base to ensure that we can measure the end floats correctly. Okay, so cases bolted down correctly to torque settings. So these are the cases closed up in their tightest configuration. I flipped it round so that the right hand side is showing upwards first, and this is because I need to do the gearbox output shaft that goes to the clutch. So I've put the dial gauge on. The magnetic base obviously doesn't work on this because it's aluminium cases, but I'll show you how to do it on the other side with a steel tool to hold it in place. And what I'm looking for is anywhere between 0.05 and 0.15 millimeters worth of travel end float. So you just grab the shaft, give it a toe cut, and you'll see there that the end float is bang on, right at the tight end of the setting. So we're okay on that one. Okay, and now with the left hand side of the engine showing upwards, what I've done is, this is the alternator rotor removing tool on the later engines, but actually acts as a nice good solid metal base. So I've got that on there. The magnetic base is now on and engaged, and it's good and tight. I've got the dial gauge sat in a nice vertical path above the crank, and if, as you remember, when we put the shims in, we put 1.9 on each side. So I now just need to work out what float I've got on the crankshaft. So if I just grab that and pull that up, you can see it's 0.22. If I pull really hard, 0.24, 0.24, 0.24. So I think we're safe to say that's 0.24. I now need to move so I can get it sat on the gearbox output shaft. So let's just do that quickly. Okay, so now set up so that I can measure the gearbox output shaft on the sprocket side now. So it's just again a case of grabbing this, which is always fun when you're trying to hold the camera as well. And again, I'm looking for 0.05 to 0.15 float, which we've got 0.09, which is, or actually slight bit of movement in there. Right. 0.07 to 0.8. So bob on. Next one to do is we've just got the selector drum. We just need to measure how much end float that's got as well. So set up now on the gearbox selector drum, just to see what float we've got. Let's just zero this correctly. There we go. And I've given myself access to push from the other side. So we're looking up to 0.4 deflection. And we've got 0.23, so banging spec. Brilliant. So it looks from this point of view, what we've got is a 0.23 deflection on our crank, and we have to preload that. Everything else looks to be in spec with the original shims that I showed you that are on there. So let's whip this apart, change the shims over and put it back, and just make sure everything's still okay. Okay, so here we are. Cases are back together with the revised shims in them, so we should now be preloading the main bearings in the left hand and right hand cases. I've checked it already that it's free to turn and it's in a nice position. It's not too tight and not too nipped. I've set up the magnetic base with the DTI, and what we're going to do quickly is just check that there is still no end float, because if there is, we've done something wrong. Okay, let's grab that. Okay, and we can see there that there is absolutely no end float. So we're in a good place there. Everything else we've measured and was all okay. Okay, that's all the tools put away. I'm going to strip the cases once I know the pistons are turning up, so I'll just leave it in this configuration for now. Once again, thanks for watching. If you like the video, please give us a like. If you want to see more of this type of content, then hit the subscribe button, and I'll be back in another week with another video, either making more progress on this because the parts have arrived that I need, or I'll probably just do an overview of one of the bikes that I've got in my collection. Okay, thanks for watching. Catch you later. Bye.